Hello, 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 hello. It's Mr. Shield here. It's Tuesday and it's maths time. Welcome to maths. I'm here to help you through the lesson and give you any pointers and help you might need as we go through the session. All right, well, here we go. We're going to start today's maths lesson, if you've got the sheet in front of you, by doing some 7 times table practice. And I just thought I'd give you a bit of a tip for this 7 times table practice, because it's times tables that you might not have seen before, because we're kind of going, instead of 8 times 7, we're doing 80 times 7. Instead of 7 times 1, we're doing 70 times 10. So it's all about understanding, well, what are the tricks here? How can I help myself solve these problems without having to do kind of long multiplication sums? Well, hopefully technology is working and you can see that I'm showing the screen with you. I've just got some pointers for you today. One is that, well, one way to solve something like 30 times 7 is to think about, well, what's 3 times 7? Okay, and if you see on the board here, I've got in blue writing 2 times 7 is 14, but 20 times 7 is 140, 140. And all I've done there to this number is just make it 10 times bigger, which often means adding a 0 on the end. Although teachers aren't really meant to say just add a 0 on the end when you times something by 10, because it doesn't work with decimal numbers, and you will get a bit of a muddle and a mess with decimal numbers if you just say add a 0 on the end. But in this instance, there's no decimal numbers, so you can just add a 0 on the end. All right. So 3 times 7 is 21, but 30 times 7, well, that's 10 times bigger. So we've got to make 21 10 times bigger. And just add a 0 on the end in this case, and that will give you the answer. Now, if it's something like 60 times 70, 60 times 70, well, if you know what 6 times 7 is, that will help you. But both numbers are 10 times bigger. So actually, you've got to make it 10 times bigger and then 10 times bigger after that. So that's like 100 times bigger. It's huge. Well, 6 times 7 is 42. 60 times 7, that would be 420. And 60 times 70, that would be 10 times bigger than 420. So have a look to see what answers might fit that description. All right. You can pause the video if you like. You can stop the video if you like. Go and do your 7 times table practice, and then we'll move on. Now, so the other practicing that we had to do today was Roman numerals. Roman numerals. I hope you remember them. So we did these at the start of year 4. We've probably covered them a little bit here and there in sort of revision bits, but it's probably been a while. So I'll just give you a clue. Roman numerals come from ancient Rome, and they used lettering and letters to signify values and amounts. So the letter I is used to signify 1. The letter V signifies 5. The letter X is 10. Okay, I haven't got 50 fingers, but L is 50, C is 100, D 500, and M is 1,000. So you've got some Roman numerals to work through here. The first one being MD. Well, you look at what M is, 1,000. You look at what D is, 500, and you put it together, which is 1,500. All right, you can work through the rest there. My only tip is to remember, if a smaller value appears before a larger value, like, let me just give you an example on the screen, IV, it means 1 before that value. So 1 before 5, and that means 4. If it's 1 IX, it means 1 before 10, well, that's 9. And the one that I always get caught out on is XC, 10 and then 100. Well, that's 10 before 100. So XC, excuse my writing, it's all wobbly. XC is 90. All right, so watch out for that one. I'm sure it appears somewhere. Try and trip you up a little bit. So that is your Roman numerals today. Use the chart that you've got on the sheet and try and figure it out to the best of your ability. Okay, good luck with that. You can pause this video now, have a go at that, or you can just carry on or stop and just do what you like with the maths if you're feeling confident. All right, here we go. I'm moving on now. Right, today's main activity is about rounding to the nearest 10 and then rounding to the nearest 100. And what you've got to remember with rounding, especially to rounding to the nearest 10, is you've got to look at the ones digit. The ones digit. In this instance, with the number 67, we're looking at this number 7. Okay, there it is. There's the number 7. Very happy it is too. I'll give it a smiley face. There's the number 7. Now, with rounding to the nearest 10, you look at the ones column, you look at the ones digit, and if it's 5 or more, you go up to the nearest 10. If it's 4 or less, you go down to the nearest 10. Well, in this instance, 67, the nearest 10s to 67 are 60 or 70, okay? So we look at the ones column and we think, is it 5 or more? Because then it will go up. Well, it's 7, so it is 5 or more. So we're going to round up, and the answer is 70. So 67, rounded to the nearest 10, 70. Let's have a look at the next one. Now, this one's slightly different in that it's got 3 digits, but we're still rounding it to the nearest 10, which means we still look at the units column, okay? And in the units column is the number 6. Now, I know that the nearest 10 to 356, if I go down, is 350. And if I go up, it's 360. So again, I have to make a decision. Will it go whoop to 350 or whoop to 360? Well, let's look at the units column. If it's 5 or more, it's going to go up. If it's 4 or less, it goes down. 6. 5 or more. It's 1 after 5, sorry. So it's going to go up to 360. Draw a little smiley face there again. All right. If, for example, this number was 352, let's change it quickly using the special pens. 352, let's imagine that. If it was 352, it would round to 350 because it's 4 or less in that units column. All right, now 475 we've got in the center of the screen here, and 475 ends in a 5, exactly halfway in between 470 and 480, the 2 10s that we're thinking about rounding this number to. So if we remember the rule, 5 or more goes up, 4 or less goes down. So 475 rounds to 480. Now, on your sheet, you've got questions like this. You've got a number line between 90 and 100. You've got 93, and you can kind of circle it or draw it on that number line, and then round it to the nearest 10, which is going to be 90 or 100. You can do the same with 45 below it. Here you've got 44 to round to the nearest 10, and you'd have to write the 10s in yourself so you can see what they might be. 76 to the nearest 10, and again, you'd have to write 76 and the nearest 10s on either side to see what they might be as well. Okay, good luck with that. All right, so you can have a go at those. Pause the video if you like, and we'll move on to rounding to 100 if you'd like to. So here's that same number again, 475. And if I was rounding to the nearest 10s, I would look at these single digits, the units column. However, I'm rounding to the nearest 100. And if I'm rounding to the nearest 100, I'm going to look at the 10s column just here. There we go. I'm looking at the 10s column. And it works out roughly the same. Okay, if I'm going to decide if this number is going to be 400 or 500 rounded to the nearest 100, I'm going to look at this 10s column and make a decision. If it's 5 or more, it's going to go up. If it's 4 or less, it's going to go down. Okay? So that way we need to make a decision. Well, it's 7. We've seen this before. It's 5 or more, so it goes up to 500. All right? Now, this activity you've got here, rounding to the nearest 100. To round a number to the nearest 100, look at the tens digit. If the tens digit is 5 or more, round up. If the tens digit is 4 or less, go down. Okay, so we've got some numbers here, 715, 890, 849, and 623 to do some rounding with to the nearest 100. All right, so have a go at that on your sheet. Try and get it right. I'm sure you can check it later. All right, and the extra challenge today, is here. I'll read it to you and see how you get on. When a whole number is rounded to the nearest 100, the answer is 200. When that same number is rounded to the nearest 10, the answer is 250. What could that number be? Okay, is there more than one possibility? So to help yourself that, you might draw a number line. You might kind of start doing some experimenting, some trial and error. But it's quite a nice challenge, that. So try and get your head around that one and see if you can find more than one answer. Okay, I hope that's helped with your learning today. Again, let's just remember, if it's 5 or more, it goes up. If it's 4 or less, it goes down. Going down 4 or less, you're going right down. All right, I hope that helps you remember, and I hope it helps with your maths today. In the meantime, good luck with it, have a great day, and I'll see you another time. Farewell.